All right, well, good morning. My name's Dave Simmer, and we're here in Scituate, Massachusetts. We're a little sleepy fishing town about halfway between Boston and Cape Cod. We're about 1.5 miles to the ocean where our place is. Our house is on a body of water here, and it gets pretty chilly. We get a nice wind that rips across the lake and hits the house pretty good. And so I thought, what a great day, this third week of January. Nice morning. It's a balmy 4 below 0 Fahrenheit. So I thought a great day to tell you about how we heat our home here. Now, we bought our house about 3 years ago, and it was exclusively heat with electric baseboard heating. Now, here in New England, electricity is really expensive, about 16 cents a kilowatt, plus taxes on top of that. So it gets close to 20 cents a kilowatt. We moved in, and some of our monthly bills were, about $600. And I thought that was kind of a problem, so I started looking into some alternative ways to heat our house. Now, electricity is really efficient. It's almost 100% efficient, actually. But the problem is, it's expensive. And when we heat electricity, create electricity at a power plant, about 2/3 of that electricity is lost in the transmission lines. So, to give you an idea, to turn a 100-watt light bulb on actually takes about 300 watts of power to turn that 100-watt electric bulb on. So, when we started looking at some alternative ways to heat our house, I was looking into biomass. Right now, we're actually heating our house with pellets. The stove we have is considered multi-fuel, so it can burn pellets or corn, soybeans, cherry pits, whatever you can get your hands on cheap in the summertime. You sort of stock up, and that's how you heat your house. But we are heating with pellets right now. If you are in the Midwest, where it's corn country, corn would be a lot cheaper, and it would make sense to use corn in this type of stove. Now, one of the benefits of using pellets is because it's biomass, it's essentially carbon neutral. So as the trees are growing, or if you're using corn, the corn's growing, or soybean is growing, it's releasing oxygen into the atmosphere. And when you burn that product, it's actually essentially knocking down the oxygen you put into the air. So you put some carbon in, but it's about the same as the oxygen that you've been created. So it is about carbon neutral. So since it's a nice cold day, a few degrees below 0 Fahrenheit, I thought I'd show you around. This isn't for everybody. It's a little bit more work than a lot of people are looking to put into heating their houses. But people are always saying to me, look, Dave, I'd love to make a difference, but what can I do? So I thought, well, heck, I'm going to start taking you around my house, showing you things that we do that can actually make a difference. So come on, I'll show you what we're talking about. All right, so we're just going to walk up to the house here, and I'll give you an idea of what we're talking about. Got the chicken coop over here. Not much action on the outside. A little cold for the chickens today. Okay, so now we're over on the side of the house, and I'm just going to show you how the venting system works. Now, most of these pellet stoves or multi-fuel stoves are considered direct vent, so you don't have a chimney that goes up. You have a tube that comes right out of the wall. Now, the way that this stove works is there's actually one pipe coming out of the wall, but there's a pipe inside of this pipe. So there's fresh air coming in from the outside to be used in the combustion, and then the exhaust is coming out through the outer pipe. And this stove is about 98% efficient, so when it burns everything, there's almost no ash left over, and as you can see, there's almost no smoke going up. Unlike traditional cordwood fire, which maybe is burning 60-65% efficient, so that's about 35-40% of it's essentially smog or particles going up into the air. With this type of system, it's so clean that you're really not putting any little particles into the air, so you're not going to get these little smoke sections in the valleys in the area. This stove is actually so efficient. There's a nice strong fire burning inside. We'll get there in a second, I'll show you. But it's so efficient, you can actually touch the outside of this. It's actually cool to the touch. When you get inside and you see the size of this flame and how many BTUs it's putting out, you'll be pretty amazed at how efficient it is. You would think that the smoke would be really hot, but because it's so efficient, you're getting all that heat into the house, it's really just pushing out a little bit of cool air. So it's not really a fire hazard or anything like that. You don't see any smoke coming out. and pretty neat system. So I'll take you and show you the rest now. Okay, so here we are in the garage. Now, we get a couple pallets of pellets delivered before the winter season, and it's enough to get us through the winter or the heating season. Typically, pellets come in 40-pound bags. So in this case, there's 50 bags in a pallet, and there's 40 pounds in each one. Now, these pellets that we have here are from Canada. They're from Western Canada. These trees were actually brought down from a beetle infestation that they had there. So the trees were brought down, and rather than just moving the trees around to landfills or letting them sit there, they take the trees and they turn them into pellets. It actually helps the forest grow back quicker, and we get to use the fuel to heat our house. Now these pellets are brought here on a railroad, which again, very efficient way to bring them here. There are pellets locally grown. We can get some from up in Vermont. There's some in Maine as well. I tested about 15 different brands of pellets. They're all made a little bit differently. Some are made from hardwood, some are softwood, some are a combination. In fact, a lot of pellets are made from byproduct from flooring companies, building companies. So rather than all that sawdust going into landfills and just taking up space, they actually use them to make heating fuel. Now I found that the cleaner the pellets, the less we have to clean our stove, and the hotter it burns. So I do pay a couple dollars extra. These are considered super premium pellets, really low ash content, low moisture content. But for me, to spend the extra few dollars a month, to not have to clean my stove every week, well worth it. A bag like this, typically on a 25-degree day, is going to keep our house nice and warm, 72, 73 degrees. One bag will burn for about a 30-hour period. On a day like today, where we're talking 0 or negative Fahrenheit, we'll probably go through a bag every 18 or 20 hours. To give you an idea, they run about $5.50 a piece. So, you know, even if it's going through a bag a day at $5 a pop, you're still only talking $100 a month to heat your house, as opposed to, as I mentioned before, we had some months over $600 with just the electricity. And back then we were actually only keeping our house in the low 60s, so we're much more comfortable now. So let me grab a bag of pellets, we'll head into the house, and I'll show you how the whole system works. Okay, so as you can see, we're inside our house, and we have our pellet stove here set up in the far end of the house. And this is our dining room area, and then the living room and the bedrooms are in the back of the house. This part of the house does stay a little bit warmer, say mid-70s, and as you work your way back to the other side of the house, it does get a couple degrees cooler. However, you know, we like to sleep when it's a little cooler anyway, so not a problem for it being a little colder in the back of the house. But when we're hanging out in the front of the house, nice and toasty in here. Now again, we're heating exclusively with the pellets right now. Now this stove, most pellet stoves or biomass stoves do require a little bit of electricity to make them run. There's a fan that's blowing the hot air into the room. Now the benefit is that it moves the air nice. There are older wood stoves that don't have a fan and they just radiate heat. You might have seen those. You get near them and they're really hot and hot to touch. This stove actually isn't hot at all. In fact, I could jump up on here. It's a little bit warm. It's actually a nice way to warm up a little bit. But you don't have to worry about kids sticking their hands in or anything. The only thing that's going to get hot in this stove is the glass. And I actually had a screen made for it, so you can put your hand right on here and nothing is hot. So I'll show you how we go ahead and fill it up. We just lift the lid like this. Here's our bag of pellets. Keep the scissors nearby. You do this a couple times, it gets pretty quick. You take the pellets, you drop them in like this, and that's it. You're good for another day. Now I take those bags and I use them to take the recycling out, or I have a plan to make a giant slip and slide this summer for my kid. Anyway, these are the pellets. They are 100% wood, so there's nothing toxic in the area, and very safe. We just brush it off and we're good to go. This stove actually has 8 settings. You can see here on the lights, I've got it on number 3. Our house isn't that big. We're about 1,700 square feet, so we typically don't have to go higher than level 4 or 5. Last night I think we were 25 below with a wind chill, so I think I left it on 5 all night. I also have a thermostat set up to it, I'll show you in a second, that this stove will actually, when the room reaches temperature, this stove will actually ramp itself down. So it'll go from level 4 to 3 to 2 to 1, and as the thermostat calls for more heat, it'll actually ramp itself back. Okay, so again, nothing really getting hot on this stove except for the glass, which is why we have this screen here. And you can see the flame in here. And the way that this system works is it's taking a little bit, a handful of pellets, maybe about this much every, well, depending on what the setting is at, probably every 30 seconds or so, it's dropping about this many pellets into that burn pot. There's a little tube inside here. I can actually open this up and show you what's happening. There's a little tube inside here, and it drops the pellets in, and you calibrate it to keep that flame exactly how you want it. Now there's air being drawn in. There's a bunch of pipes in the back. Your cold air is running through the bunch of pipes. It's considered a radiator, and when it comes out of the top, it's nice and warm. So that's how the system works, and that's all the flame there is. Very safe, very efficient. I mentioned I do have to clean the stove when I use these real high premium pellets. Honestly, I only clean the stove about every 6 weeks. The glass gets a little dark in the front from the carbon buildup, but you know, we're not so concerned about the look. We'd rather be nice and warm. Okay, I mentioned to you that we have a thermostat hooked up to the stove, and that's over here. We're on the other side of the room from the stove now. Now this thermostat controls the ambient temperature in the room. We can turn it up and down just like a typical thermostat would control your heating system. The only difference here is we use a remote thermostat, a remote sensor that we keep in the baby's room. Now we have it set at 70 degrees in the baby's room, so when that remote sensor reads 70 degrees, this ramps itself down to level 1. When that remote sensor drops to 69 or 68 and it calls for heat, this room heats itself up. We have a few fans that go through the wall into the baby room and also into our master bedroom, and it keeps the temperature in the baby's room at the perfect spot. So however hot it has to be in the dining room and living room to keep the baby perfectly comfortable, that's how we live. It's really nice and toasty. I'll show you how that looks. Okay, I just came out of the baby's room here. This is the remote sensor I was telling you about. So this sensor is hooked up to the thermostat on the side of the wall, and this is the one that we have calibrated to keep the house warm. This is one of the fans that goes through the wall. It's real quiet. It's just drawing a little bit of the warm air real high in the ceiling into the baby's room. We also have one on the other side of the house into our master bedroom to keep it nice and toasty as well. Okay, well, I think that pretty much takes care of everything. I hope you learned a little bit about biomass stoves and pellet stoves and how they work. Can definitely save some money, lower your carbon footprint if that's something you're looking to do, and stay nice and warm all winter long. Feel free, send me an email, give a call if you have any questions. I've learned a lot about different brands of stoves, happy to make recommendations, even if you're using it just to offset your heat a little bit. As oil prices go up and electric prices go through the roof, this is a fantastic way to save on some energy costs. These work great in rec rooms down in a basement, keep it nice and warm. It's really clean. You don't have to deal with bugs and cordwood and lugging wood in when it's snowy outside. And like I said, put some extra money in your pocket. So thanks for watching. This is going to be our first episode of our showing how you can make a difference. And I'm thinking next week maybe I'll teach you a little bit about raising chickens, and you can see how you can lower your carbon footprint just a little bit more. Thanks again.